You know, there's a moment in pretty much every childhood where the world just shifts. That safe, colorful bubble we all live in starts to get thin and the outside world begins to creep in. Today, we're going to dive deep into that exact moment, using Carol Ann Duffy's amazing poem, In Mrs. Tilscher's Class.
I want you to think back for a second. Can you remember that one teacher? The one who made their classroom feel like the most magical, exciting, and, most importantly, the safest place on earth? Well, this poem is like a time machine back to that feeling, and it pinpoints the exact moment that safety starts to fade.
So the poem kicks off by building this absolutely perfect, idyllic world inside Mrs. Tilscher's classroom. It's a universe made entirely of imagination and adventure.
Right from the very first line, Duffy just pulls us right in. And what's so clever is how she uses the word you. See, this makes it our experience, not just hers. This isn't just about some memory, it's about all of our memories. Learning here isn't a chore, not at all. It's this epic journey you can take just with your fingertip.
And the magic is all in the language. Duffy writes that Mrs. Tilscher chanted the scenery. And that word chanted, that is not there by accident. It makes you think of a spell, right? Like a song that has the kids completely captivated, turning these faraway places like Tunga and Khartoum into something mystical.
But it wasn't just about wild adventures. You know, that classroom was also this cocoon of comfort. It's defined by all these rich sensory details that are really the very smell and taste and feel of being a kid.
I mean, this simile is just perfect, isn't it? A sweet shop for a kid is a place of pure joy, all color and excitement. Duffy uses that exact feeling to show us that Mrs. Tilscher's classroom was every bit as thrilling. But here, the temptation wasn't for candy, it was for learning, for amazing books and brightly colored shapes.
And she really grounds us in the texture of that memory. She compares the little milk bottles to a Skittle, connecting something routine to playtime. And that smell, the scent of a pencil being sharpened, you can almost smell it now, can't you? It's these small, predictable things that created a world that felt completely, totally safe and reliable.
And this all builds up to one incredibly powerful, absolute statement. This was better than home. There's no maybe, no hesitation. That line just shows you how completely this classroom had become the absolute center of this child's universe.
But you know how it is, right? No perfect world can last forever. And now, the poem starts to show the first tiny crack in that perfect haven as the dark reality of the outside world starts to seep in. And this image she uses, it's just perfect, a smudge. It's something you try to rub out, but there's always a little trace left behind, isn't there? It perfectly captures that feeling of something disturbing that you just can't quite get out of your head, even when you're in the safest place you know.
So right in the middle of this colorful, safe classroom, the poem just drops these two names. And it's so jarring. It feels wrong. So who exactly were Brady and Hindley?
Well, this is the darkness that's smudging the perfect classroom. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley were the Moors murderers, a pair of serial killers who absolutely terrified Britain in the mid-1960s. And their victims, they were children and teenagers. This made them the ultimate symbols of evil, of the adult world invading the world of kids. For a child to hear those names, it's like a monster from a storybook suddenly became real.
But even then, the poem shows us the incredible power of this teacher. The horror of the real world is pushed back by this one simple fact: Mrs. Tilscher's love is a shield. It doesn't get rid of the fear, it's still a smudge, but it makes it feel distant, manageable. The world of gold stars and praise is still way more real than the world of murderers.
So, okay, Mrs. Tilscher could protect her students from monsters on the news, but she couldn't protect them from the changes happening inside their own bodies. And this next part, this is about the beginning of puberty, the real end of innocence.
This line is the heart of the poem, and it is just brilliant. The kids are literally watching tadpoles in a jar for a science project, right? But Duffy uses their transformation to mirror the biological and, more importantly, the emotional changes happening to the kids themselves.
I mean, just think about it. A comma is a pause. It's calm, it's part of an ordered, sensible sentence. An exclamation mark? That's a shock. It's a sudden burst of emotion. That shift in punctuation is just the perfect way to capture that jolt of moving from the predictable world of childhood into the messy, confusing, exciting feelings of being a teenager.
And then comes the moment that changes everything. This new, world-altering knowledge about sex doesn't come from the trusted teacher. Nope, It comes from a rough boy in the schoolyard. The speaker's reaction is this fascinating mix of childish anger, she kicks him, and this new horrified curiosity where she just stares at her parents, appalled. The world just doesn't make simple sense anymore.
So now we get to the final stanza. And all this turmoil, the new knowledge, the changing bodies, the confusion, it all builds and builds until it hits this powerful climax as the school year and childhood itself comes to a crashing end.
Now, to really capture this intense feeling, Duffy uses a really cool literary trick. It's called synesthesia. Basically, it's when a writer mixes up the senses on purpose, like describing a sound with a color, or, in this case, a feeling with a taste, to create this really vivid, almost overwhelming sensation.
And here it is. The air tasted of electricity. Wow. I mean, you can't actually taste electricity, but you know exactly what that feels like, don't you? It's that charged, tense, buzzing feeling in the air. Right before a thunderstorm breaks, it perfectly captures this atmosphere of sexual awakening, of anticipation, and maybe a little bit of danger.
And this is the moment. The speaker, buzzing with all this new, confusing information, goes to her trusted source for all the answers in the universe. But for this question, the big one, Mrs. Tilscher has nothing. She just smiles and turns away. And in that one simple action, the protective shield is just gone. The student finally has a question the teacher can't answer. Everything has changed.
And just like that, the magical classroom suddenly feels like a cage. The kids aren't safe and content anymore. Now they are impatient to be grown. They literally run out of the place that was once their entire world, desperate to get out into whatever comes next. The poem ends on this incredible, powerful image. That thunderstorm is a symbol for everything adolescence is about to be. It's loud, it's volatile, maybe a little bit dangerous, but it's also thrilling and full of crackling energy. The calm, glowing world of Mrs. Tilscher's class has been shattered, and in its place is the coming storm of growing up.
Duffy just so perfectly captures this journey we all take, from innocence to experience, from safety to the storm. And it kind of leaves us with a question to think about, doesn't it? For you, what was that moment? What storm marked the end of your childhood?